Hello, Wallace here. It's Super Bowl Sunday. It is storming outside, and I actually need to take the Haley back to Ming over at MC2 tomorrow, so it's not the best time for a video. I'm obviously not prepared, but better now than later. So before we get into the review and before we get into more of the bike and why I'm taking it back to Ming, first thing I want to talk about is what got me into gravel cycling. And the biggest thing was my wife wanted me off the shoulder of the road. And those of you who ride in Silicon Valley or know me used to know I used to live in Cupertino, which Cupertino was easy to access a road called Foothill Expressway. Every driver knows of the cyclists on Foothill Expressway. It's a broad shoulder, lots of cyclists there every day, and then morning and afternoon during the commute as well. So pretty easy to cycle on Foothill, and Foothill tangents into all the other popular cycling roads in Silicon Valley. Since I've moved up north into the peninsula, it's been, I can't just ride off of my driveway. First, my driveway is a really steep descent. And then the closest road I'm close to is Kenyatta Road, and people drive very fast east and west of Kenyatta. And with all the texting and driving today, I actually don't feel safe. And I also see some of the people going up. And basically when you're climbing up a hill and there's cars flying, cyclists versus cars, it's just bad news for the cyclists. So this is my first gravel bike, and gravel bike has really opened up adventures. Even on the same paths, there are always shoulders or just a little. If you talk about Kenyatta Road, for example, there's the normal shoulder road on Kenyatta, and then there's a little trail just off to the side, so you can hop back and forth between it. And I also, before you jump on me, I know cyclists aren't allowed on there, but every now and then we do jump on a couple sections, and it livens up and it changes the dynamic of that ride. So that's something I've come to really appreciate on the gravel side of things. A couple other things I needed to learn with running gravel is handling characteristics. So I've never ridden cyclocross before. Those of you who have ridden cyclocross, you probably get how to handle these things. But I've ridden road and I've ridden single track primarily. And best way I could describe it, it's a hybrid of both. When you're, for example, if you're resting and not pedaling, if you're not keeping cadence on the road, your feet kind of are like this or like this, depending on how you're turning. And on single track, you always want to be level because there's roots and there's trunks and there's stuff that your feet can get snagged on and it'll turn you over. So when you're riding on gravel and you're going on single track, you want to make sure your feet are parallel, which is kind of weird because it's a higher, call it center of gravity, or the bottom bracket is higher than what it is on a road bike. Your legs aren't as extended and you're not as stretched. On the road, it's just fine. But also what I do love about it is I am running mountain pedals, dual entry, super easy to get in with a lot of float, so super comfortable there. And then also handling characteristics, especially going downhill. And one of the big things I wanted on this bike was disc brakes, so I could stop on a dime. What I realized, even if you could stop on a dime, if the gravel underneath you is loose, you're not stopping and things get squirrely and things get really sketchy. So just a little bit of caution when you're descending, especially when there's people. Those of you who know the gravel trails around here, I ride Arundel quite a bit. And that being said, I've put about 200 miles on this bike, so pretty comfortable with it. Absolutely love it. And let's get into the build. So first things first, this is a Haley titanium gravel bike. Haley is, call it a new company based here in Silicon Valley. It's new, but it's owned and staffed by a bunch of not really outdoors, but cycling industry veterans who's been in the industry for a very long time. And while each bike is custom, and their philosophy is we're going to do custom TI, but we're going to standardize the pricing, because every time they build one of these bikes, they have to measure the tubes, they have to cut it, they got to butt it. All that work is involved. The pricing between off the rack sizes and custom is actually not that much. So they said rather than stocking them, let's build them to order and let's just standardize the pricing, which I thought was genius. This is the 8th bike that they built. since they built a few more, maybe doubled. And I'll get into when you're building, when you're a new company and being your 8th frame that you built, you're going to run into issues. You're still trying to work on your process, and that's actually why this bike is going back, and I'll get to that at the end of the video. But because it's custom, you can also choose your color. So being a Porsche fanatic, I love the Mexico blue Pantone, and that's what this color is painted in, PPG Mexico blue. And this is not silver, but it's actually raw TI with a gloss. But it kind of looks like a gunmetal dark silver, pretty cool thing. And during the ordering process, I basically took my most comfortable road bike to Ming over at MC2, kind of had it measured out, took a bunch of measurements, had me sit on it, fit it, figure out where my stroke length was and everything, reach, and then basically sent this off to Colorado and had a bike made based on those specs. And then after that, we went ahead and picked out the components. So just give you, I'm not sure what these frame sets are going to retail at. I believe they're going to retail between $4,000 to $5,000 for the frame set. And each frame set, they do use ENVE Components. So this is an ENVE gravel fork with internal cabling. Speaking ENVE, we have the entire ENVE package set here as well. So we have the stem, we have the handlebars, we have obviously the wheel sets. This is the AR disc, I think 4.5 set. Awesome wheel set, love it. And we got the seat post as well. In addition to ENVE, we ended up going with the SRAM Red ETAP group set. And the last last road bike I built was 10 years ago, and that was with first generation SRAM Force. This is when SRAM was just launching. This is before the Lance Armstrong controversy. I love going from Dura-Ace to SRAM, kind of a different philosophy. But going from, you know, what I would consider an ancient group set to electronic shifting is a night and day difference. This group set's just amazing. It's fast, it's precise, it's confidence inspiring. Probably overkill on a gravel bike, but I'm not going to complain about that. And the only reason I actually went with SRAM Red was the Shimano Di2 was just impossible to get at the moment unless you're like a large builder like a Trek or Specialized or something like that. You know, I think I had to wait till probably Ming said, if you want the Di2, go ahead and add 4 to 6 months on the wait time. And I just wasn't that patient. And this stuff was going to be a quantum leap for me anyways, and it literally was. So that's the entire group set. Matched up to that, we have, well, let's talk about these Arundel carbon cages. I've stayed away from those for a long time. I've kind of tried everything in between, but they've been making carbon cages for a long time. They know what they're doing, and because it comes in a matte carbon now, I'm actually liking that quite a bit better. I think the only other cages I would change that to, because it's a titanium bike, maybe the King titanium cages. But speaking of King, this whole thing is fitted with a Chris King, different King from the bottle cages, but headset, and then the hubs on the wheels, and the bottom bracket, and I think that's it. Love the hubs, they spin forever, has the Beehive freewheel. And then this is another brand owned by me. This is an Astute Saddle. So far I'm okay with it. It's pretty comfortable, but I haven't been cycling for a while, so you know, I'm just getting used to it. I think I'll eventually like it quite a bit. I usually run a Physic Barone or whatever you call that, this is doing okay. Kind of reminds me of the Celia Italias. And then of course we have the Look X-Track pedals down there that I mentioned earlier, and the only reason I had Looks on here, we were trying to get the Shimano XTRs. Those are back ordered and just impossible to find as well. So that's where we are with that. Up here I have a Wahoo Mini, Element Mini. with the integrated ENVE mount. I'm not sure if I'm gonna replace this with a normal element or go back to Garmin, but so far I'm not logging on, I'm not counting calories, I'm not counting watts, I'm not counting anything other than mile and time. So that's doing its job. And then, see, so far, so great. The bike handles really well, it's really tight, kind of a more of a racy geometry. I need to slam that stack and basically just log on more miles. Really happy with the build quality is amazing, the paint work is great. No real complaints on anything. And the reason why I'm bringing this back to Ming is I wanted to ride 40mm tires, and over here these are 33, and the reason they're 33 is, I'm not sure if you can see that, but we'll bring this up. It's a little closer to the seat stay here than it is here. When they, I think that's right. I think when they jigged this up, it was off by a millimeter or two, and that way we couldn't run the 40 we were really getting at. That aside, the bike works just fine. Pedals strong, it's able to put down power where it needs. It's able to handle well, it takes descents well. Really happy with how everything came out. Also, we had the disc brakes as mentioned. Those are amazing night and day as well. But Ming went ahead and welded me a new frame. So this one is supposed to be right, and I did change my company logo. It's back here instead of down here now. But I'm told once this one is laced up, this will fit the 40. So get us, check off all the boxes and do everything that we need. So the reason I have this is not gonna wax it, but we're gonna ceramic coat this thing, and then gonna ceramic coat this thing, take this back to me. He's gonna swap all the components over, put on the new tires, and I think we'll be good to go, and I'll give you an updated review then. But if you like this video, and if you want a Haley yourself, go ahead and contact Ming or MC2. Their contact information is below. Incredible build team, really fun experience. Of course, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see the follow-up videos, go ahead and subscribe. I look forward to bringing you more content, especially with the Haley and my gravel adventures. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.